a Big Ben question. It seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger are trying to work things out. What are the chances and possibilities that that does not happen and they move on from Big Ben?
I think it could look silly 24 hours from now. I think the most likely outcome here at this point, based on everything I've heard, is that he stays, is that he's the starting quarterback for the Steelers in 2021. How they get to that point, I can't be sure, because the most they can save on the salary cap this year if he's on the team is about $17 million. Now, maybe that's enough. It will just hamper them in terms of their ability to sign free agents, do extensions with some of their great young players, et cetera. But it sounds like they want to find a way and that he wants to be there. So I think there could be resolution on this here in the next day or two, because there has been contact between the two sides in the last couple of days, and they know sort of what needs to happen to make him to keep him their quarterback. Could it still go off the rails and end up with him released or retired, et cetera? Yes, it could. Absolutely could. But it seems like all the momentum the last couple of days has been pointing toward he stays and he's back, and they build a team around him however they can for 2021.
Dan, who is going to be the Patriots QB next season, and why?
I mean, how's your arm feeling? Like, is it? I mean, they could have tryouts, and we may need to get up there and see if, And look, I think they could bring Cam Newton back. I'm not sure that's their top option right now. Obviously, it didn't go great, though they did really like Cam. The way he was in the building, how hard he worked, he made a good impression on the coaching staff. So that's a possible outcome. We've heard Marcus Mariota brought up as a possibility there. He's available in trade. He's backing up Derek Carr in Las Vegas, and he's making a lot of money this year. They want to move on. But it starts to look a little bit, like you're picking over the ball.
Spears used it with Hannah Storm there to talk about the pole position that Dak is in. The other guy that's famously used the word leverage is the guy that's going to be paying Dak all that money. Presumably that's Jerry Jones, who said Dak has all the leverage. Marcus Spears knows Jerry well, played for the Cowboys. He's an ESPN football analyst, and he joins us this morning on Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Zubin. I got to ask you here, how do you feel?
My man.
How do you feel the negotiations are playing out here?
What up, family? Man, listen, the negotiations are playing out like they played out for the previous 2 years. And, Dak is in the situation now where he can do whatever he wants to do. Last year, I felt like he shouldn't have signed the tag because it was going to put them in a tough situation, but they signed Andy Dalton and kind of covered themselves. And then obviously we know what transpired with Dak, but Dak has all the leverage with the Cowboys. They don't have another quarterback on their roster that they feel like they can win with, and they will be in rebuild mode if they let him walk.
Marcus, I feel like that they're going to get the deal done. When it gets done, I don't know. We've been saying it for a couple of years now, but at some point the deal's going to get done, because it's not, in the grand scheme of things, they can't be haggling over that much. But if it does not get done, should the Cowboys draft a quarterback in this year's draft?
Yeah, they should, Key, and it's because of what they did last year. Signing Andy Dalton told you that they were not only nervous about the contract situation with Dak, they didn't feel like they had anybody substantial on the roster to even back him up. So you go out and get Andy Dalton, then you think about this year, and obviously you can play your cards with a rookie quarterback because you're not paying them that much money in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think Dallas knows what Dak will respond to. That's the point we've got to with this contract negotiation. I'm not sure if they feel confident that Dak's whole play is not to just tag, play another year, and get out of there. So that's another part of his leverage outside of being the only QB on their roster that everybody feel like they can win with. Now he's in a position to say, I know you're not going to pay me what the tag is the next year. So he might be wanting to do a one and done. Or other way around, they get a long-term deal done, and you still need a quarterback. It just changes the seeding and the positioning in which you take one, in my opinion.
Marcus, let me ask you this, and you and I and all the athletes that are out there, we know we're not like fans. We don't count other people's money. But for the sake of doing what we do with these shows, we are obligated to talk about contracts and people's money. Should Dak Prescott take another shot at a franchise tag, given what happened to him this past season and what may happen in the future in terms of the salary cap, because we don't know where the salary cap is going to be in the future? Should he just sign a long-term deal?
See, that's the conundrum, right? Because that's what him and Todd France are trying to figure out. Like, where will we be 2-3 years from now if Dak is lighting the league up still, and we get a new numbers into the fray that are dramatically different from what they are now. Man, it's tricky. Like, I heard the idea, but now he wants to do a 3-year deal floating out there, just trying to time up the cap. And you know how that goes. Like, once you get the bump, as far as the cap go, you want to be in that tier, in that number. We saw Julio do it as a receiver. All these receivers getting paid. But I'm one of the top guys. We need to restructure this, Atlanta. So, yeah, I think that's a part of his thinking, to not necessarily do anything too long. And that was the thinking last year. But, you know, we're a year removed from that, and now he may want a less year, 3-year deal now. So it's a lot of scenarios, I think, playing out from their standpoint, because going back to what we started with, they gained that leverage last year when the deal didn't get done.
Marcus, let's go to another team in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is their QB number 1 right now, but how likely is it that they'll draft a QB with the 6th pick?
I think it's likely, Jay Will, but I don't know if Philly has a lot of issues that they need to address. And it'll tell you how much they think about Jalen as far as where he can go maturation-wise and, progress going forward. But I don't think if I was to sit here, and I want Jalen to have all the success in the world, but if I was to sit here and say Philly is locked and set at their quarterback spot, I'll be lying to you. I wouldn't even feel that way necessarily. Now, you're hoping he grows and matures into that and is able to continue going on and do what he does at quarterback, especially with Carson Wentz out of the picture, feeling like that may be his to lose at this point. But if I'm Philly, I'm definitely exploring the quarterback spot, because you just, like, we all saw it. We see it. We see Mahomes. We see Josh Allen. We see Lamar. We see Baker this year. Like, these young quarterbacks paying dividends because you're not paying them a lot of money. I keep going back to that. And that is how the draft perspective has changed. You know, Sam Bradford got $60 million before he ever played a game. That was like the last part of that. You know, we paying these guys big-time veteran Pro Bowl, All-Pro money before they take a snap. Now you got that freedom and that leverage to, draft the guy. He don't work out. You don't give him the 5th year, and you move on.
Cam Newton was on the I Am the Athlete podcast the other day and said he's a starting QB in the NFL. Is Cam Newton a starting quarterback in the 2021 NFL season?
No, I don't believe so, based on what I watched last year. And I know the circumstances in New England, no weapons, trying to learn a new system, new scheme. But I saw rookies learn new systems, new schemes. I saw guys go into places and do a lot better. Phillip Rivers outplayed Cam Newton last year, from a sheer quarterback standpoint. So based on what I watched from Cam last year, no. Well, this season, no. I don't see him as a starter in the league. I do see him as a guy that can be a backup, and you could have a level of comfort with him being your backup and seeing if he can continue to get back. He talked about COVID had the effect on him during the season. But Cam threw 8 touchdowns and 10 picks in this offense. That to me doesn't get anybody a starting spot the next year at quarterback.
Just goes to show how quickly things change in the league. A half decade ago, he was the MVP. They were 15-1, and they were in the Super Bowl. He was Superman. They were unstoppable. Half decade later, Marcus doesn't think